This is episode 8 of What's Been Better. The pain of relationships ending is one thing, but the realization that you sabotage the relationship? Ouch. If you've been here before, you know we cuss. And if you're new here, please get used to it.
And before we get started, if you like our show, please hit that subscribe button and don't forget. And I'm going to say, remember to share it with someone else. Hey, Sylvia.
Hi. Hi, Lori.
Hey, girl. Hey.
I feel like I just saw you 5 minutes ago because you were just at my house. Holy cow.
Oh, yes, exactly. We had a ball, didn't we?
Yes. That
We had a
pizza
great
was
time.
great. The pineapple was
Girl.
great. Everything was great. Y'all,
That pizza was the bomb.
Lori
The
cooked her
bomb.
own pizza in the pizza oven. Like, let's just start there. She actually put the gloves on and slid the pizza in the pizza oven by herself. Let's start there.
And if anybody has their own, what do you call it?
The pizza oven, like a brick oven pizza oven?
Yeah, yes. Because I've been to like a restaurant that has the brick thing, but not
Mhm.
not in somebody's backyard. Like Sylvia shared that, but seeing it is a totally different scenario. And
Yep.
actually putting a piece in yourself and then
Yes.
tasting like the wood flavor, because that's the whole dynamic of it. You know,
Mhm.
tasting that flavor in the pizza, man, y'all missing something. You missing something.
I highly recommend building your own pizza oven. Like, if you eat as much pizza as I eat, and I eat a lot of pizza, like I am not ashamed. Every pound that I have earned has been well worth it because the majority of it is from pizza.
Man,
I
and that pizza
highly recommend it.
is so good, y'all. Oh my God, it's so good.
Wait
In
until the
fact,
spring. Wait until the spring and the summer when the garden is good. Like,
uh-huh.
wait.
Ooh. And it was made with a lot of love too, because Drew, he put it down.
Yep.
I don't think it would have tasted as good as it did, right, without that love. So that's awesome. And so I had 2 pieces the next day. I did not want to share my piece with Tommy. Just gonna let you know. But
Your face when you told me that you had to share with him, you looked really upset about sharing.
yeah,
Really.
honey. Oh yeah. But it ain't nothing but love. Love said share.
Yes.
All right, Miss Lady. So what's been better with you? What's better?
So part of our weekend wasn't just eating pizza, it was also to do a photo shoot for
Mhm.
the show.
Right.
So, we got to wear our shirts that I made, which was just pretty
Mhm.
awesome,
Yep.
get our future hubby and hubby together, who were so helpful, but seeing the pictures, I was so excited. I was like,
Yeah.
"Yay, this is finally done. It's done, it's done." It was just a good time, and, having my worlds collide,
Mhm.
you got to meet my friend who shall not be named, which was
Mhm.
just I was very excited for that.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
treat. That was
to
a
put
treat.
names with faces and to see
Right.
people and meet people and get their vibe, and that was good, and just to have people in my house and in my kitchen again is
Aw.
special to me because it's something that before COVID was always a thing.
Right, right. Well, that
So,
was awesome. That's awesome.
yep, that was good, so, yeah, that's what's been better. What's been better for you, Lori?
Well, so, when life is good, sometimes you're gonna have ebbs and flows, right?
Yep.
So, just last Friday, I had some incidents go on with my son,
Mhm.
and so he's a lot better, and
That's
so I'm
good.
I'm really happy about that because anytime things are happening to your children, it gets really rough, you know.
Mm,
And so for me, I adore my booze, and the 20s are interesting time for young people
yeah.
because they go through a myriad of um, issues, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to be from 0 to like 15, 16, but from like
Mhm.
18 to 30, and I say that a lot. That's like the second um, tier of growing up,
Yeah.
right? Like the second childhood all over again.
Yeah.
and it's trying, it's trifling. It's a lot of things.
I'll give you
Whew.
that. I'll give you
Jeez
that.
Louise, and
And too, you
so,
know what? Like, the
yeah.
20s as far as age, and then the 20s as far as, like, the 2020s has been
Mm.
trifling.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep, the 2020s. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a lot of ebbs and flows with that,
Mhm.
and, a lot of growing up, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, you can liken that to the 20s that we're living in now, and, so it's a lot better, and I'm very thankful, and it's a lot of prayer, right? And
Good.
so, um, y'all, let's pray for our children. I'm just gonna say, we really need to stay in prayer for our children and not worry. That's a different that's like altogether when people say, "Oh, I'm worried about my kids." Please don't worry about them because
Mm.
words are very powerful and worry says that I don't believe what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. It do
Okay?
like, worry doesn't have faith in it. You
Right.
gotta have
Worry
the faith portion.
right. Either you're going to hope for the best or you're going to worry. You can't do both. They don't exist
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So whenever I pray for my children, I'm speaking the life that I'm hoping for them. I'm just speaking that out. I'm just really connecting with my creator about what I'm hoping for my children instead of the thing I'm fearing. And fear is worry. So I
Yeah.
just really want people to recognize that. And I just would be remiss if I didn't say that. So yeah,
Okay.
so that's what's been better. And you know, being able to hang out with Sylvia and Drew, man, that was icing on the cake because you
Yay.
really helped me that weekend because all the shit hit the fan on Friday, and to
Mhm.
hang out with you in the reserve, y'all.
Mhm.
Atlanta has an awesome behind nature reserve off Cascade Road
Don't
that
tell people that, it's a
oh
secret. I
oh
don't want them to find it, that's my secret.
oh
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
I was gonna
Look,
say scratch that. We're gonna have to edit that shit out. But let me tell
it's
you
a
about
hidden
peace.
gem.
Oh, I had so much peace in those pictures. We had a ball
Yeah.
in the woods. We were out in the woods. It was beautiful. For
Yep.
all y'all who like to hang out in the woods, that's a hidden gem.
Yes, hidden. Keyword, hidden. You can come, you can visit. You cannot stay. We are full, we are full. Please, please, I'm
Oh my
begging y'all.
god,
I know it's
that's
beautiful. I know you
hilarious.
wanna come, I know you wanna hang out, I know you wanna join. Please go home, back on your side of town.
See, I ain't say that. Sylvie said that shit. I didn't
I
say it.
said what I said. I
Mhm.
said what I said. Hidden gem.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good time. The pictures are
Yeah.
beautiful. We have to do it again, and, I was just glad to share it, just glad to share it. So, you finally got to see the garden, the
Mhm.
greenhouse, sweat it out in the
All of it.
greenhouse,
Yeah.
the
It was
compost.
it was hot up in that bitch, let me just gonna say. But it was
Yes,
nice. It was nice. The whole scene, y'all, it was gorgeous. All of it.
cool.
Yeah. So what we talking about today?
This is your idea. This is what are we talking about? Ouch. Sabotaging. Just
Mhm.
fucking yourself up and your relationships, just off of making assumptions, off of yeah,
Believe in the assumptions
that part.
and then
Tricking
taking that shit
yourself into
personal.
believing the assumptions. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what
Yeah.
made you think about this? Like, when you text me about it, what made you land on this?
Because of my life. I was thinking about
Oh.
most of what we talk about, Sylvia and I, a lot of it stems from what goes on in our lives or what we imagine happens in other people's. Also, my clients, right?
Yeah.
So I see clients every day and we
Mhm.
deal with some really interesting shit. I'm just going to say it's some
That's the only
really
way to
interesting.
describe it.
Let me tell you. So when I think about how relationships fall apart, a lot of times they fall apart based on the assumptions that we make. And the
Yeah.
assumptions that we make are really triggers, right? Things that we're triggered by that happened in the past because that's all we have to go by, or fear
Yeah.
of the future. We're either
Yeah.
living in the past or we're living in the future. We're not living in now. So when we sabotage these relationships, we're not we're not believing what we're really seeing, we're making shit up.
Yeah, and
Have you ever done that, Sylvia? Have you ever made something up and
did we
believed
not
it?
just do a whole episode on gaslighting? Like,
Ah, was
this
it in
brain
relationship though?
oh, yeah. Yeah, 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 plenty of relationships I've done that, even the relationship with myself.
Mhm.
Even convincing myself or assuming that I have it together, knowing
Right.
full fucking well I don't have it together,
Right.
or thinking that a friend isn't supportive,
Mhm.
but they're not supportive in the way that I have not even asked them to be.
Right. Right.
There's a difference. Like,
Mhm.
you can assume somebody it doesn't have your back, but if you've never said to them like, "Hey, this is what having my back looks like for
Mhm.
me,"
Yeah.
they don't know. They
Right.
don't know. So you being mad with them and sabotaging your relationship because you don't feel like they have your back is it's pointless, first of all,
Mm.
and it's
Mhm.
doing harm and doing damage that, can be irreparable.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is any kind of relationship, right?
Yeah.
So you can imagine that your daughter doesn't um doesn't value the things that you share with her. You know,
Yeah.
I've been telling her she should do X, Y, and Z, and she ain't listening to me.
Mhm.
And how is that so? Have you asked
Mm.
her, right?
Yeah.
Have you checked in with her to even make sure what you're thinking or speculating is even true? Or a husband, because he didn't I don't know, he might have forgotten certain your birthday wish list, and he
Right.
got you something that he really liked because he really loved it for you, and you imagine that he didn't give a damn. He's
Because he
not
didn't
thinking
pay
about me.
attention to the thing that you were trying to dictate. Yes.
Or yeah,
Right.
the thing that was on your list, and it's like, no, did
Mhm.
you ask? And I think a lot of times because we're not curious and we just make these um these dogmatic statements in our mind, and
Mhm.
then we get in our feelings about it as though that shit is true. It's not
Yeah.
it's not true. It's our imagination, and we make stuff up all the time, and we have to be very careful about the things we make up.
Yes. Um, and I think too, when we're making these things up, if if you don't take that deep breath that I often talk about, the storyline continues. I mean,
Yeah,
it
that's
just goes and goes and goes because you haven't taken that pause to go, "Oh, what the fuck?"
mhm,
Just or, "Wait a minute,
mm,
that's not real."
right,
But
right.
because you don't take that deep breath, you're holding your breath almost. You're just adding and adding and adding and adding and adding to what already didn't exist.
Yeah, you go down rabbit holes,
Yeah,
and you link it to things that hurt before,
that part.
and we say, oh, it has to be true
Mhm.
because this happened and then that happened, and
Yep.
before you know it, created a whole dang on scenario
Yes. Yeah.
based on nothing.
Just
Nothing.
nothing for any particular reason, just out here making shit up. Just
Yeah.
yeah, that was definitely the route that I've taken frequently, and some days it's easy and some days we get a episode 5 out of it,
Mm,
like, it goes and goes and goes, and something has to make me take that deep breath before I'm like, "Oh, ooh, I don't know if that was even real.
mhm.
Let me go ask, was that real?"
Yeah. And
So
and and like I said, it can happen in any relationship. It can even happen on our jobs.
mhm.
Um, it can happen at church,
Yeah,
right? Like a pastor could be speaking about something and you think that he's probably talking about you because it
right.
probably it probably is in a sense kind of happening in your life, because this is the thing, when things are said,
Mhm.
it personally because it's touching something that is a nerve for us, something that we are
Yeah,
insecure about,
yep.
you know? And so then we start making up scenarios in our head. And
Mhm.
then we continue to start taking that personally. So it's about really backtracking our way out of it. And just like I was just sharing about our children and worrying, we have to be careful about the thing we fear.
Do you feel like that was what was happening? Were you fearful of things happening with your son, and that's how you feel like it had played out? Or or even with your daughters? I know you have, like, situations and scenarios going on with them. Is it kind of the same as, like, you were fearing that the relationship would be strained or that there would be miscommunication, and then there it comes?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
It's just when you hear things that happen, you're it's like you're thrown off.
Mhm.
Like, I
Mhm.
wasn't expecting this from you, you know?
Okay. Okay.
And so and when you hear shocking things about your children, it's a tendency, like I'm gonna tell you about the invitation, that invitation to worry.
Yeah.
You have to stop in your tracks because imaginations in that space of worry, you can start to really start making assumptions about things.
Mhm.
Like, am I a good enough mother? Right?
Oh. Is that
Um,
something is that
oh that
something that you constantly worry about?
oh yes. Oh my God.
Okay.
That's a thing. So because I grew up, or not grew up, I grew up with them, but I was a single mother um early because right
Mhm.
after we divorced, I think I was maybe about 33
Okay.
when I got divorced.
Okay.
So it's like almost 10 years after we got married, then we're divorced. And now I'm a single mom, and it's rough. So
Okay.
you're doing the best you can, especially when you imagine that you you spend your life thinking that you're going to be married forever, right? Like
Right.
till we die and things like that. You never intend that. Who intends to get divorced after they get married,
Look,
right?
that is a one-time gig, inshallah, hopefully, yes. I'm claiming that is a one-time gig for me because I just don't see myself doing it again,
Girl.
but I I wonder too, do you still have those feelings of, like, are you a good mom or are you doing a good job as a mom? Even though it's your kids are grown, they're out of the house, you have grandkids now, do you still find yourself back in that stream of thought of, like, "Wait, maybe
It
I'm
it
not doing."
it comes and goes because again, the children, just because they're in their 20s,
Mhm.
they're not independent yet.
Right.
There's still this a little of the hanging on, right? Like if we think about ourselves in our 20s, we
Mhm.
don't fully have our footing.
No.
And so there's a lot of coming off of childhood, coming off of being a teen, and it's letting that subside and leaning into adulthood.
Yeah.
And so I've never been a mother of a child in their 20s before, right? So this is all
True.
new. At every
Mhm.
stage is new. Like as my
Right.
children, you know, go into their 30s, that's new for me.
Mhm.
And so there's no manual on motherhood. There's no manual on fatherhood. And so you're always hopefully doing the best you can.
I keep
But when
asking for that
things
manual.
Yeah, but when things happen, you wonder because this is the hope. Your children grow up to be Barack Obamas, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Or all the different people who are doing great things like James Baldwin or just some of the greats, right?
Mhm.
But we're not looking at when James Baldwin is at home and he's or in his 20s, or when he's trying to establish himself, or when, Barack is in law school. You don't
Right.
know this shit. You don't know the trials and tribulations that go on and what their mothers or their fathers are dealing with. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so those are the things. And when your children come to you with the different things that they go through, like the things that we went through, except we're in 2020s, right? So you know
Mhm.
how life is now is crazier than when it
Right.
was when we came through our 20s. And so
Right.
it hits you. And so the question
Yeah.
is, did I do everything I needed to do? Right. And then again, that's all relationship. And the tendency is to make assumptions about a whole host of things. Did
Like,
I say the right thing?
that's what I was gonna say, like, what kind of things are the assumptions as a parent in these
Hmm.
scenarios? What kinds of things become your assumptions, or what kind of assumptions?
Right. So one assumption could be, did I give enough encouragement?
Ooh, okay.
Right. Or did I warn them of the things in life?
Mhm.
Was I loving enough? Was I a disciplinary enough? Should I have divorced their father? You know, um, a lot of those things because and this is the other thing, you can't go backwards.
No. No, you cannot. You can try to mend a situation. You can try to reimagine a situation. You can have conversations about that thing with those people, but you cannot go back there and redo. Like, if somebody has a rewind button, let me know because I'm trying to fix some stuff. But
Right.
no, it's just not a thing. You cannot go backwards. You
Yeah.
have to accept wherever you are at the point of where you are and make do with whatever it is, or stay down in that hole. And like we talked
Mhm.
about, like, sometimes you put yourself in the hole and sometimes you look up and you're like, "How the hell did we get in this hole?"
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's
And
good to
and s
hear though, like, that even at this age, you're still kind of, like, questioning, I guess, or
Mhm.
figuring it out. Because I think a lot of times people have the assumption of, like, your kids make it to a certain age and that you have it all figured out and
Mhm.
that
And
everything's just fine.
yeah, and it's not. It's not.
Mm-mm.
And that's why it's very important for us to one, ask questions, check
Mhm.
in with your children, right? Or like I'm dealing with my children, it could be your spouse, right?
Mhm.
It could be scenarios over the years. Was I
Yeah.
the best wife I could be or was I the best husband I could be? And
Mhm.
then when they go to work, does my wife have a work husband or
Mhm.
or does my husband have a work wife? And like, what are they doing when I'm not with them? And so your mind could go in all these different directions. And
Yeah.
whatever you're making up in your head, it could become the truth for you, but not really.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
so I give a little joke, not a joke, but a story that happened to me. I was living with my aunt and
Mhm.
I was a teenager. And in her bedroom, the phone was by her bed, and I needed the phone for something, but I
Okay.
mistakenly unplugged it. This is back in what, 80 something.
Look here,
So
kids.
now, right.
Phones used to have plugs.
Now I'm on the phone with a friend of mine late at night.
Mhm.
And somehow, I guess she found out I was on the phone, but she realized that the phone upstairs was unplugged. So
That
she
you
made
did
the
it on
assumption.
purpose.
Yes. And so she went down this rabbit hole of me trying to intentionally do this thing when that was the furthest from my mind. But now I got an idea. Now it's
Mm.
like, okay, well, shit, I might do it now, because,
You shouldn't have told me.
right. But that's the thing. And my aunt was, oh my God, she was notorious for making shit up and believing it.
Okay. I
She
had
was
one
no
like that too.
oh my goodness. Like she would and it sounded very believable. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it
Yeah.
made logical sense, but it wasn't the truth.
It's
And all she had
it's
to do is ask me.
it's also yes. Ask me right at the time, don't ask me 25 years later. Let's start there.
With that.
Um, Second of all, eh, don't spread the assumption. That's the other, like,
Right,
damaging part. Do not
right.
spread the assumption. You have an assumption, you heard part of the story, you saw a corner of the picture, you didn't see
Mhm,
the whole entire thing. Don't take it and run with it because, again,
mhm,
some of these assumptions are you cannot fix that. It is
mhm.
irreparable.
Yep,
You have
yep.
damaged your relationship with that person, you have damaged their relationships with other people,
Mhm.
you know, all manner of things can happen from one assumption on one day from one person who has the loudest mouth in the room.
That's how rumors get started.
I think it's worse than a rumor, though. An assumption is worse than a rumor because an assumption can be interpreted as fact.
Well, is that not a rumor?
I mean, that's technically a rumor. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I think
and that
too. Oh,
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't think that we can only put this on parents. I think we also need to talk about this, like, in the workplace as well.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I I I know I hit this gong 1,000 times, y'all, but if you could see the behind the scenes, you would understand. I really honestly think that people who are in positions of management need to also check in with themselves.
Mhm.
Don't do these fake check-ins with the people that are working under you. Check in with yourself to figure out what are you doing? How
Right,
are you doing?
right,
How is what you're saying or doing causing anything in the
right,
workplace?
right.
Because I think we're getting to a point where we're turning around and trying to go back to normal. I don't know if you saw the news, but Amazon has now forced their workers back into the office, like their corporate workers back into the office. Disney is forcing theirs back into the office. We've literally spent years of people doing the work, not under the roofs of these corporate offices on purpose, and
Mhm.
people were perfectly fine. But
Right.
the people that weren't fine were the people that have not checked in with themselves. They were
Mhm.
the people that had assumptions. Nothing is getting done. There's no productivity because you can't physically see the people do the work. But
Right.
your numbers, you've gotten richer. This whole entire COVID pandemic, you've gotten richer. You've been fine. You have work coming in. You have projects coming in. But because the people have not checked in with themselves, now not only are we going to see mass layoffs, but I think people, well, what I'm hoping for is that people have mass exodus because they shouldn't have to put up with these situations. It's ridiculous.
What are you hoping that what what are you hoping that this mass exodus will do?
Weaken corporate greed. Just
Okay.
weaken it, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Enough to be like, "Oh, shit, we need the workers, don't we?" Yeah, you do. Like, there's a
Mhm.
reason why so many other countries are on 4-day work weeks because the
Mhm.
people said, "We are not dealing with this anymore."
Right.
But America's not there. There's too many people that are like, I think I'm assuming this is gonna work," you know? So,
Mhm.
I think that
Well,
yeah.
it's unfortunate too, but yes, this is a narcissistic society that we live in.
Yes.
That's just really what
Yes.
it boils down to. It's an
Yeah.
insecure, narcissistic society, and they're so afraid that somebody's going to um, do better or do something that will
Mhm.
take them away from them holding their hand on the head or their foot on
Mhm.
the neck, you know,
Mhm.
um, losing the power and losing the control. And I think that people being home is a form of I got my life. I'm taking my life back.
Yeah.
And they're like, "No. No, you can't have your life. I want your life."
Right. But I think I think it goes hand in hand sometimes with, like, parent and child relationship of, like, a parent
Mm.
wants to dictate or assume that a child is not doing their best, same
Mhm.
as a manager because they can't see them or they can't control them. I think it's the same set of assumptions, and I
Mhm.
think it's the same harmful path in a
Mhm.
way
Right.
because I think a kid, for the most part, once you've given them the life lessons and you've
Mhm.
guided them to a point, I think they'll be fine.
Mhm.
I think workers are the same way. People
Yep.
have literally been at home on their computers for the 8 hours that you said they needed to be, getting whatever done without any harm being done. But
Right.
now because, yeah, you can see them do it, you can feel them do it, you can cough in their face, I don't know, whatever it was, like, it's a problem. So, I think it's look, behind the scenes, y'all, behind the scenes.
Listen,
Um,
I heard it. I heard that.
yeah, but I think it's the same set of assumptions. I really
Right.
honestly do that people aren't checking in not only with the other person for real, but they're not checking in with themselves to figure out, like, "Why am I like this?
Thank you. And
Why
that
do
is
I
the
keep doing
thing.
that?" Yeah.
Right. And so again, I go to the source of the thing. It is
Mhm.
fear. At the source
Yeah.
of it is fear. And
Yeah.
if you would stop just for a second and think about what you really hope for,
Mhm.
and I think really what it is we don't think that what we believe is going to be true. That
You
is
know
the
what?
thing.
I think you might be onto something. I think that these people in these management positions don't think that they could be successful without a room full of people
That they hover
begging
over
them,
or
yeah,
lord
that they
over.
hover
Yeah.
over or
Mhm.
feel omnipotent on. Like,
Mhm.
"Oh, wonderful one, thank you for
Mhm.
having us
Right.
in this office today." Like, it's not a thing.
Right.
Let it go.
Right.
But I don't think they're in tune or have questioned these assumptions.
Right. And let us be clear, it's not all because there's some awesome ass managers out there. And shout out to the awesome managers out there.
Yeah.
Whoop whoop. Or
Those
what?
those that are doing right by their workers, that are yeah, that are sharing in profits, that are understanding what really is a work-life balance, that are
Yeah.
understanding, like, we're not curing cancer, we can just go home because it's 5 o'clock or whatever
Yeah.
time.
Right.
Like, yeah, shout out to those people. I don't know who you are, where you are, but I wish that you would replicate into being more of you, but yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And also shout out to the parents who know that they're doing an awesome ass job. And yeah, we can get down sometime, but the truth is we know we have awesome children too.
Yeah.
So does this happen to me all the time? No. Um,
Mhm.
it's just sometimes, especially as the children go through these 20s, um, it's like your prayer is that it's for me. I'll just speak for myself. I'm excited about who they are, and at the
Mhm.
same time, I'm believing in their belief. And when I get down, I don't really share so much about my assumption with them
Mhm.
because I don't want them to tap into that fear either,
Okay.
and so I just work through it. I do my meditation, I do my deep breathing, I do my prayers just to come out of that negative energy space because that's really what it is. It's like a low vibe that hits you, and then you have to really work through that so you can start to feel better. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it can really get you. And I think it's necessary for us to own it, to be
Mm.
real with ourselves, to tell the truth. Let's not be in denial about sometimes us fearing about what um, what we're hoping for, or we're fearing not so much, that worry that comes up. Let's
Yeah.
just own that, and then we
Yeah.
can release it and start to think about what it is that we're desiring.
Yeah.
So,
I think even
yeah.
too even you could say that with the parents, and again, you can go back and say that with management, like, own up that this is the thing that you wanna be a dictator. Own up to that, so that way you can figure out, like, that's not necessarily good. That's not
Do you
necessarily
think do you
productive.
think that's the thing? Like, they're gonna
Yes.
own that they wanna be a dictator?
No, I'm saying I want them to. I'm saying I
That's what I'm
want them
saying. Are
to.
they right, but are they gonna be like, "Yeah, the truth is I wanna be a dictator over them."
I
Or if
want
the
them
truth
to
is
get
I'm afraid that I'm not enough, because that's the
same
base of it.
same that literally sounds like the same thing in both ears.
Oh, really?
It does. A dictator and somebody that is like, "Oh, I'm lacking somewhere," or, "I don't feel like
Mhm.
I'm an" that's the same person.
Yep, it really is.
It's
It's just
literally the same person to me.
right, right. Yeah, it
2
is
sides, same
the
coin.
same. Right, right. That is true.
Yeah.
And it's again, if you start to own that and recognize that it doesn't have to be that way, it can be
Yeah,
different,
yeah.
you know.
'Cause I feel like that too, even, as women who are sabotaging these relationships that we're in, that we have this laundry list of things that we want in a man, and when they don't appear to fill out every single box of this mythical person that you've created in your
Mm,
mind,
mhm.
then we're just gonna tap out.
Right,
Like,
right.
we don't have to be alone because somebody isn't fitting everything that you've made up, and you've
Mhm.
never even talked to them.
Right, right.
Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
it's the same.
Or you don't have to like, when you're making this shit up, treat them like shit, and they don't know it. Like, they're like
Yes.
they came home and you're a different person because
I will
because
never
you
forget that with Drew. Yes, same,
yeah,
same.
and they're like, "Who are you today?" Like,
Yeah,
they don't have a clue,
yeah,
because we're not asking questions, or we're not sharing, and like I said, you don't necessarily have to share your fear, but if nothing else, you can give that person the benefit of the doubt. you
right.
know
Yeah,
and also check in with yourself. Am I making this up? Am I making things up based on my fear? Am I making things up based
yes.
on something that triggered me a long time ago, that has nothing to do with my person, that has
Yeah,
nothing to do with my daughter, or nothing to do with my son? Because some of this stuff we project, right?
yeah.
Like, well, I wasn't necessarily good in college, so I don't think my son is going to make it through college.
Oh,
Like,
that one. Yeah, yeah. Or I didn't even go to college, so
right.
nobody's gonna go to college. It's just not a thing, or you're not even gonna put the effort in to make sure that they get to do it. Like, you just want them to work a job, work a factory, work wherever, or they just have to get out of your house, but you haven't given them any tools or anywhere to
Mhm.
go at
Mhm.
18, at 17, at
Right.
18, at 19, just because you had to get out of the house. Like, you're just
Right.
assuming everybody's gotta follow the same path, and even assuming I'll never forget, like, I absolutely did not want to go to Thrasher Hall, see my shirt, and be in the education department at Tuskegee.
Mhm.
I was, like, anti hell no, I wasn't teaching. My whole family was teachers, everybody was like, "This isn't a good idea." I didn't wanna do it. So but to my mom, it was safe.
Mm.
It was always stable. That was the assumption, that it was
Right.
this thing that anybody could do in our family, and that it was fine. You would be fine doing it. Now, did she know that it would cause me so much strife?
Right.
No, and I can't ever blame her for that.
Right.
But that assumption was so it had so much weight that
Right.
it took me down a path of that's what I wound up doing.
Right.
So I think yeah, those assumptions, especially with whoever you are putting them on, like whoever you're bestowing this assumption on, if you're not careful, it can lead to a path of destruction. Because
Right.
for me, I don't believe there was any intention behind it, but for me, it did. It led down a path of like, yikes,
Well,
ouch.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that's a curse.
Yeah,
Our assumptions can be curses that we put on people
yeah,
because of our
yeah.
fear. So and people are not gonna own it just like that. But if the truth
Mhm.
be told, I don't want my daughter to be jobless or homeless or
Right.
die. So at best, I want her to she can get a job as a teacher.
Mhm.
Was your mom a teacher?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's the other thing. We project on our children what we dealt with, or we project
Mhm.
on people our situation. And imagine just for a second that there's another perspective.
Yeah, not the same kinda teacher, but yeah, same still same. Her
Mhm.
mom was a teacher, my aunt that who I'm named for was a librarian, my grandmother was like, over the schools,
Mhm.
just everybody was in and out of education. My dad was a ISS teacher. It was just a thing. It was a thing.
And let me be clear, because I was a teacher too. These
Mhm.
are awesome as, you know, positions. They're
Yes.
awesome careers. It's just to say we have to allow our children to chart their own course.
Yeah,
We have to let them live. We have to let them be and give them our best blessings.
yeah.
And the hope is whatever this person decides that they want to do, let us give them our blessing, not our curses, right?
Mhm.
Let's do that. And let's
Yeah,
change this whole trajectory. Like, let's let
right.
this world be a world that we want to live in, that we that a world that we want to be,
Mhm.
instead of what we don't want.
Yeah, like, I I love teachers. I think teachers are amazing. I do think, yes, it's a really powerful position, but it only works if it's something that you want to do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't wish it on anybody that has to do it, because when you have to do it, you can't necessarily give your all at doing it,
Mhm.
I
And
don't
that's
think.
yeah, and that's anything,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Right,
absolutely,
right.
absolutely. So
So,
when I talk about it and it's, like, really hard for me, I don't want anybody to think, like, I just think it's the worst thing in the world. It was the worst thing in the world for me. Like, it
right,
was
it
not
wasn't
helpful for me.
yeah, it wasn't your
So,
thing.
no, it's not my jam at all. It is not my
Right,
ministry.
right,
Mm-mm.
right.
So, but yeah,
And s
I wasn't asking the questions. I was just assuming like, yeah, she's right. This is safe. This is stable. I was just going along with the assumption.
right. And that's a lot of us,
Yeah.
right? And so, if we make some different changes in our lives, we can make the lives of the people coming after us much better.
Yeah.
So, imagining a world that we wanna live in, and hopefully it's free of assumptions and speculations.
I think
Uh-huh.
so. I think so because I say it every week. Just to wrap it up, I think better is possible.
I do too.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to What's Been Better.
That's it for this week's show. I'm Lori Scott.
And I'm Sylvia Johnson, and you've been listening to What's Been Better.
A big thank you to Lagan Music Inc. for providing our music. This show is edited and produced by us with a little help from our family and friends. We love you all.
We want to hear what's been better for you. To be a guest on the show, send us an email to questions@whatsbeenbetter.com. Or you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at What's Been Better Podcast.
Thanks for listening.